Outside the prosperous dynasty, a middle-aged man in a suit and tie sweated profusely. It was York Smith, the mayor representative of the Smith Group. He rushed over immediately after he received his son's call. He was terrified after seeing the situation outside the prosperous dynasty. What the hell did this useless son of mine do? A soldier approached and pointed at York. You, go in. Okay. York was finally able to enter the prosperous dynasty. His heart palpitated as he walked inside. The place was filled with armed soldiers, and many wounded people were carried away. He was terrified when he arrived at the basement and saw Yoel, bruised from all the beatings, beside Daniel with a star on his shoulder. General, his legs went weak, and he fell to his knees. Dad, wah, take me away quick, he sobbed desperately. York stood up and swung his limbs at Yoel. You useless piece of trash. What have you done? Daniel scolded him, saying, that's enough. Stop embarrassing yourselves here. Take him and go. Also, bring the kid on the ground back to the Callahans, house safely. We'll deal with you guys later. York's heart skipped a beat as he heard this. Adds by Pub Future. Then, with his feet, he kicked Yoel a few more times. You useless trash. I'll kill you. Did you not hear me? Since you're not willing to leave, detain these two and bring them. York was terrified upon hearing him. He picked up David lying on the ground and grabbed Yoel, quickly leaving the place. Outside, inside the car, York's face was covered in sweat. He tugged his tie and loosened his collar. His shirt was soaked wet. He drove far away and came to a stop. Then, he took out a cigarette and lit it up. What the hell did you do, you dumb SS? He cursed as he took a puff of his cigarette. Sob, Dad, I can't tell you. I'll be dead if I say anything, Yoel cried. You can't tell me. York frowned upon hearing his answer. Dad, I offended someone extremely influential. He was someone who ordered around the Blight King. What should I do? Am I doomed? What the hell is going on? York roared. I was interested in Thea from the Callahans. Yoel roughly explained the situation. However, he did not dare to mention James' name. Adds by Pub Future. He simply brushed it off as someone was backing up Thea and killed Xander, then ordered the Blight King to take care of the aftermath. As for the details, he kept it a secret. Who's that person? Dad, please don't ask about him. I'll die if I tell you. You also can't tell anyone about what happened today. Our family will be doomed if word gets out. That guy he killed was Xander. He killed him without batting an eye. Right after that, he called the Blight King. It didn't take long for the general to show up here. Yoel's body trembled. He could help but shudder as he thought about what had happened. You can't get anything done and only get into trouble, York reprimanded him and shouted furiously. Who exactly did you offend? You have to tell me at least his name. It's James, Thea's husband, James. Dad, you can't tell anyone. James said that if word gets out, I'll have the same fate as Xander. York frowned at the answer. He thought it was some very influential figure, yet it was trash like James. Isn't he the son-in-law that married into the Callahans? It's impossible for him to have so much power. How is it possible for him to order the Blight King to wipe his Tarankan SS? York was confused and could not understand how a useless son-in-law could have so much authority. However, he understood that news of what had happened could not be spread. Otherwise, the Smiths would be finished. What sort of man was Xander? He was a criminal overlord of Kensington. He owned many more assets than the Great Four but was murdered easily. The Smiths were nothing close to Xander. Useless. He scolded Yoel immediately. Hurry up and send David back home. Beg for mercy in person and make sure to get Thea's forgiveness. No, I have to go in person. The military was dispatched. They sealed off the prosperous dynasty and arrested many people. The news caused an uproar in Kensington. The Blight King sure is enthusiastic. The first person he went after was Xander. I heard that Xander used to deal in some dirty business in the past. After years of cleaning up his business, he finally started doing some legal business. However, many lives ended in his hands and there was a lot of dirt on him. Haha, it sure is satisfying. Blackwind Xander has finally been arrested. Even if he didn't fall under gunfire this time, he will surely spend the rest of his life in jail. The people of Kensington gossiped about what happened. All the major families had instructed their family members not to cause any trouble during this and lay low. It would cause their families many problems if they got targeted by the Blight King. Thea's family home. The whole family sat on the sofa in the living room. No one said anything, and the atmosphere was tense. Thea sat on the sofa like she had lost all her energy as tears rolled down her face and she looked wretched. Seeing her state, Gladys also felt a little guilty. She was mocked and endured much suffering because of Thea over the years. In front of outsiders, she was also unable to lift her head high. However, Thea had always been well-behaved and obedient. Thea, I really didn't have a choice either. We won't be able to save your brother through Yoel's connections if you don't divorce James. You shouldn't only think about yourself and be more considerate about your brother. Plus, Yoel is a much better choice than James. I've already learned from my past and don't want you to end up like me in the future. I don't want you to live unable to raise your head in front of others for the rest of your life. Adds by Pub Future. Thea wept as soon as Gladys mentioned the matter again. Knock, knock, knock. Someone knocked at their door. Alyssa, go open the door. Okay, Mom. Alyssa stood up and opened the door. At the door was a middle-aged man in a suit with his tie loosened and a few unbuttoned buttons. He looked distressed when she opened the door. Carried on his back was another person. David. Seeing David on York's back, Alyssa instantly shouted. She immediately invited York into the house. Quick, come in quickly. York walked into the house with David on his back. A long time had passed, and David also regained consciousness. Although he was severely beaten, Xander knew how to hold back. Apart from some external injuries, there were no broken bones. York placed David on the sofa. David. Alyssa burst into tears after seeing David's state. Adds by Pub Future. Benjamin poured some water for York and said, "Thank you for sending David back home. You must be employed by Mr. Smith, right? Where is Mr. Smith?" Gladys asked. York gasped. He calmly analyzed the situation. James had such a great influence that even the Blythe King was cautious of him. However, the Callahans did not seem to know James' real identity. Since they were not aware, York did not expose him either. He was a clever man and immediately knew how to deal with the situation. Dealing with it well would not only ensure the Smiths' safety but also gain the favor of someone really influential. My incompetent son got beaten up by Xander. He was slightly injured and had to pay a visit to the hospital, so I had to bring Mr. Callahan back for him, said York. Hearing his reply, the family was collectively dumbfounded. Incompetent son. This was York from the Smiths. You, may I ask for your name? Gladys exclaimed in disbelief. Are you possibly Mr. York Smith, the chairman of Smith Group? You don't have to call me sir. Yes, I am York. Ah, it is you, Mr. York. Please do have a seat. Gladys immediately invited York to sit down. She never expected him to be the famous York Smith to personally bring David home. Seeing Thea sitting in the corner in sorrow, Gladys immediately called for her. Thea, what are you still doing there? Come over and greet Dad. Uncle. Thea stood up and greeted. Oh no, please don't. York stood up immediately, saying, Ems. Thea, just call me Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, my daughter will get a divorce from James as soon as possible. She'll be free to marry Yoel after that, who has mentioned that he will not shun Thea. Even though Thea and James have obtained their marriage certificate, she's still a virgin. She won't be an embarrassment to the Smiths. Oh no, this is unacceptable. York said, Madam Hill, let's not mention it. Thea and James are the perfect couple. Forget about my useless son. Thea's way out of his league. Let's leave it and not bring it up anymore. Gladys looked confused. Mr. Smith, does it bother you that Thea is a divorcee? No, of course not. Haven't you heard of the ancient saying, it's better to burn bridges than to destroy marriages? Ems, Thea and James are in love. We should forget about it. After finding out how powerful James was, York would be an idiot to request that Thea divorce James. If the divorce went through, the Smiths would be destroyed. Now, all they could do was wait for James to cool down. At the same time, it would do them well to maintain a good relationship with the Callahans. Mr. Smith, what? Gladys did not know what else to say. Well, that's it, then. I'll be on my way now. Oh, please tell James that my son will not be bothering Thea again. With that, York left in a great hurry. His son was still in the car downstairs, waiting to go to the hospital. Although Yoel had made several grave mistakes, he was still his son. After York left, the Callahans were left confused. After spending a few $1 million on getting David back, this was it. Dave, how are you feeling? I'll take you to the hospital now. Alyssa looked at David, who was lying on the couch. She was so worried that she almost burst into tears. Listlessly, David waved his hand. I am fine, just beaten up and strung up for a few hours. I lost consciousness for a while due to a lack of blood flow and oxygen to my brain, but I'm fine now. Gladys pulled herself out of her thoughts. She had no time for them anymore. She approached David. Dave, are you alright? Let's go to the hospital. Mom, I'm fine. We don't have to go to the hospital. We must. Look at you. You are covered in bruises and injuries. Benjamin, why are you still standing there? Carry your son downstairs and take him to the hospital. Yes, dear. Benjamin carried David on his back. All of them sent David to the hospital where he underwent several tests. It was only after the doctors cleared him that they all returned. Once they were home, Thea looked at Gladys eagerly. Mom, Mr. Smith said that there's no need for James and me to get divorced. Can you? How strange. Knowing that David would be fine, Gladys was relieved. Now that she had calmed down, she thought the entire matter even stranger. Looking at Thea, she said, do you think that Mr. Smith thinks poorly of you, so he doesn't want you to be with his son? Mom, no matter what, Mr. Smith doesn't want me as his daughter-in-law. As for James, Thea, this is for your own good. Even if you're not with you could choose someone else. What's the point of being with James? What about Brian Grayson? He admires you, doesn't he? The Graysons are an important family from the capital, even more influential than the Smiths. Mom, Thea started tearing up. David's okay now. Are you still forcing my hand? David's your son, but I'm your daughter too. I should have the right to choose my own partner. Seeing Thea cry, Gladys sighed deeply. Whatever I do for you. I don't want you to end up like me. Since you insist on not getting a divorce, James can return. I suppose he's not completely useless. He does have some medical skills and he's a good housekeeper at the very least. She had rejected 20% of Eternality's shares after all. She had let it go. This was what the rest of her life was going to be like. She no longer hoped that Thea would marry into a wealthy, powerful family and make her proud. Now, as long as Thea was happy and they all lived in harmony, it was enough. Thanks, Mom. Thea burst into happy tears. She called James from the balcony at once. Jamie, we're no longer getting a divorce. Please come home. James went to Common Clinic after leaving Prosperous Dynasty. However, Henry was out. As he had the keys to the clinic, he let himself in. Ceasing operations for the day, he shut the door behind him after entering. He was going to take a nap in the back room. He had not slept well these few days, planning to catch up on his rest using this opportunity. After what felt like milliseconds after he fell asleep, his phone started ringing. Noticing that it was Thea, he smiled slightly. He answered the phone. Thea was crying. As he listened to her, he felt warm inside. Tenderly, he replied, I'm at Common Clinic. I'll be home soon. He knew with certainty that the Smiths had sent David back. Now that Xander was dead, the Smiths would not have the guts to trouble Thea anymore. They were not that stupid. They would never let her get a divorce from him. Not if they wanted to live. James stretched. After that, he got out of bed and left the clinic, closing the door behind him. Ads by Pub Future. He was about to leave when he noticed a woman standing in front of the clinic. She was about 25 or 26 years of age. Wearing a white dress and a pair of white high heels, she was lean but curvy with long, black hair hanging down her back. She had exquisite features and smooth, fair skin. There was an unmistakable sense of power about her. She was standing in front of a mirror with her arms crossed. Her beautiful eyes landed on James. James saw her too. However, he turned to leave without saying anything. Hey, Yuna called. James. James stopped, looking at her. Confusion was written all over his face. What's up? He studied Yuna, trying to remember if he knew her. He frowned when he could not recall who she was. Yuna approached him, extending a hand. Hi, James. My name is Yuna. It's my birthday tomorrow night. I'd like you to come to my birthday party. James frowned. Are you crazy? He did not even know Yuna. Yet, she invited him to her birthday party. Was she not crazy? He turned to leave. Ads by Pub Future. James, I was classmate with Thea. His ears pricked up when she mentioned Thea. He stopped and looked at her again. Classmate. Yeah, we're both alumni of Kensington University. She majored in fashion design while I majored in economic management. Oh yeah, she gave James 2 invitation cards. See you tomorrow night at Kensington Hotel. James stared at Yuna. He found it odd. How did Yuna and Thea become friends if they were in different courses? Furthermore, Thea was still disfigured when she was in university. Nobody wanted to be friends with her. Yuna was gorgeous. She was most likely the school belle. Why did she invite them to her birthday party? However, he pocketed the invitations all the same. I'll ask Thea if she knows you. If she wants to go, we'll be there. After that, James turned to leave. Yuna stood in front of her Fira convertible, watching him leave. It was only after James left that she made a call. Find out who Thea's university classmates were. Invite all of them to the party. The voice on the phone replied, Yes, miss. James Caden and the Black Dragon. Interesting. Yuna hung up and giggled. She was a Lawson. The Lawsons were an important family in the capital, just as influential as the Yates and the Graysons. After James stole her car and went to Eller Corporation, she utilized all her resources to investigate James. Finally, she managed to obtain some pictures of James being made general. As such, she knew James' true identity. Who knew that the highly regarded Black Dragon of the 5 commanders would be in Kensington? What was more, he was the Callahan's son-in-law. Thea is the luckiest woman on earth. Una envied Thea. What did Thea ever do to be under James' protection? On his electric motorcycle, James rushed toward Thea's house, humming a tune. Instead of using the main roads, he took some shortcuts. As he passed through an alley, a jeep appeared out of nowhere, blocking him. A middle-aged man exited the car. The man was clad in a loose robe. He had bushy eyebrows and big eyes with a square jaw. He looked powerful, like a man used to being in charge. James stopped his electric motorcycle, looking at the Blight King. The Blight King approached, tossing James a cigarette. James caught it. The Blight King pointed at the car. Let's talk. James lit the cigarette and took a drag. There's nothing to discuss. If you have something to say, speak it out. My wife is waiting for me. What are you trying to do? The Blight King asked calmly. He had just arrived in Kensington, yet he had cleaned up James' mess twice. He was the Blight King of the West, now the commander-in-chief of the 5 armies. He was not James' lackey, yet James ordered him around repeatedly. I'm not trying to do anything, James said mildly. The Blight King roared. First, it was Ella Corporation, then Prosperous Dynasty. James, I know you have unparalleled strength, but we're in Kensington, not the Southern Plains. Are you seriously treating your countrymen like you treat your enemies? James was unaffected by the Blight King's rage. They can come after me, but not my wife. The Blight King took a deep breath, saying, all I'm asking for is your cooperation. Please don't cause any more trouble for me. Also, rumor has it you visited the Great Four. You want them to kneel for 10 days at the Cadence Cemetery before committing suicide. Otherwise, you'll spare no one. Yes, James' expression darkened. They deserve it. Even if they deserve it, you shouldn't have done it. Let me handle this. I'll arrest all those involved within 3 days and dole out punishment. James raised his head and stared at the Blight King. Their gazes locked. Time seemed to stop. Blight King, I'm warning you. Stay out of my business. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind if the 5 commanders become 4. Are you threatening me? Yes. How dare you? The Blight King was furious. No one had ever dared speak to him that way. I've heard your power is unmatched, but we've never sparred. The Blight King removed his shirt. Just then, James moved in a flash. A silver needle appeared in his hand out of nowhere. A silver needle pressed against the Blight King's throat before he could even do anything. Time suspended. The Blight King's forehead beaded with sweat. He was the Blight King of the West, a leader of armies. He had seen everything. Yet at this moment, he was afraid. He felt coldness wash over him as if he was plunged into ice. Cold sweat slid down his spine. He knew that the Black Dragon was very powerful. However, he did not expect the Black Dragon to be this terrifying. No wonder the higher-ups respected him so much. James retracted the silver needle. The cold dissipated. Casually, he said, don't get involved in my business with the Great Four. If you want to help, track down the location of moonlit flowers on Cliffside's edge. With that, James turned and straddled his electric motorcycle, whistling as he disappeared from the Blight King's sight. Only after James vanished did the Blight King stagger backward. A man disembarked from the car. He was the Blight King's confidant, Daniel. Sir, the Blight King waved his hand, cutting off Daniel's words. Who knew that he had gotten that powerful? If he wanted to kill me, a silver needle was all he needed. The Black Dragon lives up to his reputation indeed. The Blight King took a deep breath. The Blight King's appearance did not affect James at all. Since he resolved Thea's problem, she had called for his return. He was in a good mood, humming a tune comfortably. Soon, he reached Thea's house. He knocked. The door opened. It was Thea. Seeing James, she fell into his arms and started to cry. James could not help but be moved as a beautiful woman threw herself at him, accompanied by an intoxicating scent. James put an arm around her shoulder, smiling. It's okay. Everything's okay now. Don't cry. Your eyes will get puffy if you keep crying. Thea stopped crying then, pulling James into the house with her. Everyone was there. However, they looked ill at ease. James approached them. Dad, Mom, adds by pub future. Gladys nodded, acknowledging his presence. Don't blame us, James. We had no choice. Mom, I don't blame you. I only have myself to blame for not being able to help. James smiled. He did not blame anyone at all. Furthermore, when it all came down to it, he could not blame Thea anyway. No matter what she did, he would accept it as he was indebted to her. James sat down and took 2 invitation cards out, passing them to Thea. He asked, Thea, do you know who Una Lawson is? Thea took the invitations. She looked confused. I think I do. I remember she was at university with me, but she was 2 terms behind. She was the school belle. Many admired her for her beauty. I think she's from an important family in the capital. Why? James said, I don't know. On my way home, I bumped into her. She's having a birthday party at Kensington Hotel tomorrow. She's invited you. Thea unfolded the invitation. It was an invitation for her and James, signed by Yuna. She was confused. I don't even know her. Why did she invite me? Ads by Pub Future. James spread his hands, saying, how would I know? She delivered the invitations in person, so I couldn't reject her and took them home. Thea looked at James, a hint of jealousy on her face. It would make sense if she delivered it to me since we were at the same university, but why did she deliver it to you? Immediately, James said, Thea, I promise I don't know her. I haven't even seen her before. I'm just kidding. Look at you, all flustered. Just then, a group chat on Thea's phone flooded with messages. She took out her phone, reading the messages. Oh my god, big news. Our school belle has sent me an invitation for her 25th birthday party at Kensington Hotel tomorrow. I've received an invitation too. I was wondering if she's the same Yuna who was 2 terms behind us. The school belle, Yuna. Yuna, from the capital, the current chairman of Longevity Pharmaceuticals. Yes, the delivery person mentioned it. It's Yuna Lawson indeed. The group chat that had been silent for a long time started buzzing with messages. All her classmates had received an invitation. After Thea read those messages, she was bewildered. What's going on? We barely crossed paths with Yuna. Why is she inviting all of us? Thea, this is your chance. Gladys peeked at Thea's phone. Looking at the messages, she said, I've heard of Longevity Pharmaceuticals. They're a huge organization, only second to Celestial in Kensington. Furthermore, they're the partner pharmaceutical group for the city's designated hospitals. Since Yuna invited you, go for it. This is an excellent opportunity to expand your social circle. She was right, but Thea was still puzzled. Why did the chairman of Longevity Pharmaceuticals invite her and her classmate? James asked, Thea, will you be going? Of course, why not? Thea looked up. When she was in university, she was a laughingstock. She did not have any self-confidence and constantly looked down on herself. Now that she had recovered her looks, her confidence blossomed. James nodded. This is an important event, yet there's nothing suitable in your wardrobe. Come on, let's go shopping. You don't have any accessories either. Nonsense. Who says there's nothing suitable? I think my clothes will do just fine. Thea pouted. Go shopping. She could not afford it. James could read Thea's thoughts. He smiled. Come on, I'll pay. Isn't my card with you? All my savings for the past 10 years are there. It's quite a large amount. Ivy better not. Thea shook her head. She had always been thrifty. She never cared much for luxury items either. Go on, Gladys said. It's the birthday party of Longevity Pharmaceuticals, chairman after all. It wouldn't be right to stung on this. We have to get her a gift as well. All right then. Thea nodded, knowing that she would not win this argument. Okay, let's go. James reached for Thea's hand. Ads by Pub Future. Thea avoided him instinctively. Knowing that she had overreacted after that, she reached for James' hand and smiled at him in apology. James returned her smile. Hand in hand, they left the house. James took his electric motorcycle. Thea sat behind him, hugging his waist and leaning her head against his back. James did not want to keep riding the motorcycle. He planned to get a car. He asked, Thea, what's your favorite car? My favorite car. Thea was surprised. We visited a motor show this morning, and I saw the most beautiful red Ferrari race car. I'll return and purchase it one day. Thea motivated and encouraged herself. She was not into luxury cars. She just happened to fall in love with this car. It would be so cool if she had a car like that. If you like it, let's get it. Tsk. Thea hit James on the head lightly. Stop horsing around. Do you know how much a limited edition Ferrari costs? I've looked at the price. It costs more than 20 million. I could sell you off and it still wouldn't be enough. Thea, yes, Thea, I'm going to be honest with you, but promise me you won't get angry at me. Ads by Pub Future. Okay. In a small voice, James said, I was a high-ranking official at the Southern Plains. I abused my position and pocketed some money, so I was demoted to a regular soldier. In the end, I was expelled from the military. Ah, Thea shouted, you said you wouldn't get angry. Thea smacked James on the head angrily. How could you do something illegal when you could do so many other things? It's not illegal. Do you know what the Southern Plains are like? It's the border of the 18 kingdoms. All the wealthy people are there, but it's chaos. The rich pay a fee to the generals of the Southern Plains for protection. I took some money but the higher-ups found out, so I was expelled. As such, I have some money. If you want, we can use it to buy a car. I am not taking it. Thea rejected the idea at once. James, I'm warning you. I don't care what you've done, but if you want to be with me, you can't be involved in any illegal activities. Thea, it isn't illegal. It's commonplace at the Southern Plains. It was just bad luck for me. You don't even know how much money the other generals are pocketing. All of them chose to retire after that, buying luxury cars and mansions and living the easy life. He was trying to ease Thea into accepting his true identity. If she could accept all of this, it would not be too difficult for her to accept that he was the Black Dragon. Ah, really? Thea did not know much about it. However, she knew bribery when she saw it. James nodded. Of course. Have you heard of our boss, the Black Dragon? He's one of the 5 commanders, on par with the Blight King. He pocketed lots of money. He even conquered an enemy state and took over their gold mines. After selling it to other entrepreneurs, he made tens of billions just like that. Thea shouted, "What? That's so much money." "It's all right," James explained, "this is just an example. The rich at the southern plains spend hundreds of millions like it's nothing. My boss is worth hundreds of billions. What about you? How much do you have?" "Not much, just hundreds of millions." James was careful not to divulge too much. Thea was shocked. How is having hundreds of millions not much? Immediately, she yelled, "How could you do this, James? You seem honest most of the time, but you've done something so terrible. Do you only care about money? Isn't this normal?" Mom has mentioned that Howard uses his position to pocket money as well. He's enjoyed so many benefits, including luxury cars and mansions. Grandfather closes one eye to his antics. Look at Dad, getting scolded by Mom for being too honest. Thea considered it. She supposed he could be right. However, those were completely different matters. Whatever Howard did, it was all in the family. Whatever James did was illegal. "Jamie, why don't you return the money? It's okay if we're poor. All we have to do is work hard and we'll be able to earn. If the higher-ups decide to pursue this, you're dead. I don't want to visit you in prison." James smiled. "Thea, it's not as serious as you think it is. I've been to the military court. My punishment is my expulsion. I would never join the military again. I get to keep the money as my boss said some nice things about me. Since I had been in service for 10 years, this was my reward." Ads by Pub Future. James started making up stories. After his speeches, Thea finally started to accept it. She believed him. If he were just a regular soldier, how could he borrow a car and enter and leave the military region as he pleased? Now she knew. He was once an important person too, only expelled from the military because of bribery. He did know some important people. However, even though James had some money and was willing to spend it on a luxury car for her, she was reluctant. Since the general had acknowledged the money and gave it to James as a reward, Thea had other plans. She was going to use it as capital for her business venture. She started to tell James her dreams and hopes. Suddenly, she said, "Oh, James, Mom must never find out about this money. Otherwise, she'll be bragging about it on the streets. She might even ask us to hand it over. This is our savings." Mom's just like grandfather, who cares about status and reputation above all else. "So, where's the car?" Thea hit James on his head lightly. "We're not getting a car. Since the card is with me, I'll keep it and decide what to buy." "Oh, you can go home now. I'll go shopping on my own." "Huh, Thea, how could you do this to me? I just told you I have some money, and now you're chasing me away." "No, it might take a long time. I'm worried that you'll be tired." Ads by Pub Future. Tired. When I was in the military, I endured worse. Furthermore, I'll be with the woman I love. How could I be tired? Thea felt warm and fuzzy inside. She hugged James' waist tightly. Soon, they arrived at a women's boutique. It was rather well known in Kensington. The clothes were expensive, ranging from thousands of dollars to hundreds of thousands. Thea did not want to get something so expensive, but James insisted. Knowing she would not win the argument, she agreed. The shop was decorated sumptuously. Gorgeous dresses hung on rows of racks. Thea's eyes sparkled at the selection. She looked like a little girl, sifting through the dresses. "Hey, don't touch them. Would you be able to pay for damages?" An unhappy voice rang out. Thea turned, noticing a salesperson decked out in a suit. He was looking at her unhappily. She apologized at once. "I'm sorry. Thea, what are you doing? We're the customers. Customers are king. How could you apologize to him?" James looked unhappy. Thea was too soft-hearted. With her personality, she would always get taken advantage of. Thea tugged on James' arm. "Forget about it, Jamie. Let's go somewhere else. It's too expensive here anyway. Each piece costs thousands of dollars." She grabbed James, making a move. Even though James told her he had money, she did not want to spend so much just on clothes. "Poor folks, how dare you touch the clothes when you have no money?" The salesperson looked disdainful.
"How dare you?" James was about to go berserk. Thea grabbed hold of him immediately. "All right, let's go." She was familiar with his temper by now. He even beat someone up during a family meeting. If she did not stop him, this matter would get blown out of proportion. Those in the military were so hot-tempered. James did not lash out as Thea had a hold on him. Both of them walked toward the entrance. Thea, is that you? A woman at the entrance was staring at Thea in surprise. Thea turned, noticing a woman about 27 or 8 years old. She was wearing a long, blue dress and clutching a Chanel bag. Gold earrings dripped from her ears, a crystal necklace sparkled at her neck, and a gold bangle flashed on her arm. Decked out in gold and silver, she looked beautiful and elegant. She was on the arm of a man in his 30s. He wore branded clothing from head to toe, looking powerful and important. Who are you? Thea could not recognize her. Thea, it's you. The woman in the jewelry and blue dress approached, smiling. Have you forgotten? I'm Zena Ferguson. Oh, it's you, Zena. Thea finally remembered a Zena Ferguson in her class back in university. Thea, I've heard that you recovered your looks. Now, you are the most beautiful woman in Kensington. Also, did your family pick a husband for you? That's right. Thea pulled James to her, making the introductions. This is my husband, James. Zena grabbed the handsome man next to her as well. This is my husband, Zach Smith. The Smiths are only second to the Great Four in Kensington. Zach stared at Thea. Thea was now famous in Kensington. She was once the ugliest woman, but she was the most beautiful woman now. It was such a drastic change that everyone knew about it. Seeing Thea, his expression turned greedy. He then turned his gaze onto James, who was wearing plain clothes. Zach's expression turned mocking. Thea, the Callahans are quite an important family. How did you end up marrying this piece of trash? There are still some eligible bachelors in my family. Why don't you divorce him? I'll introduce you to someone in my family. Zach stared at Thea, planning to have her himself. He said he would introduce her to an eligible bachelor in his family, but he wanted her for himself. Thanks, Mr. Smith. Thea smiled, pulling James away. Hey Thea, are you shopping for new clothes for Yuna's birthday party? Zena grabbed Thea. What? Thea looked at Zena, asking, why? When she was at school, she was shunned in class. She was never close with her classmate. What was going on now? Why did they suddenly have so much to say? Thea, I heard that you've been cast out of the Callahans. How can you still afford such expensive clothes? Thea's expression darkened. She might have been simple-minded, but she knew that Zena was making fun of her. She ignored Zena, not wanting to argue with someone so snobbish. Oh, important guests. Please, come in. Just then, the salesperson who snubbed Thea earlier on approached them. Seeing as Zena was decked out in jewelry and carried a purse worth thousands, the salesperson bowed as if he was welcoming God himself. It was so different from how he treated Thea. Zena lifted her head and looped her arm through Zach's, walking over proudly. She even glanced back at Thea, smiling. Thea, it's Una M's. Lawson's birthday party tomorrow. Look at how shabbily you're dressed. I think you better not go and embarrass yourself. Furthermore, the Callahans are now the laughing stock of Kensington. Who fakes an invitation to attend the Blythe King's succession ceremony? What a joke. You. Thea was shaking in anger. Next to her, James said. See, I told you we shouldn't leave. We have the money to pay. What? James' words caught her attention. She burst out laughing. You're just a soldier. How much money do you have? Can you even afford the clothes here? Let's go, James. Thea pulled James away. She was afraid that James would lose control and start bragging about his wealth. James had told her where the money came from. It was dirty. Though it was also worth noting James had mentioned that he went to court over this matter and got expelled from the military. The money was his final reward for his service. Technically, the money was legal. However, Thea was still worried when she thought about the source of the money. It was best they stayed out of trouble. If the higher-ups pursued this case, James would be in trouble. As such, she started to drag James away. Since Thea wanted to leave, James kept quiet. HMPH. Zena cackled. Just say you're poor and be done with it. Zach had an idea. He approached Thea, saying, Thea, which clothes do you prefer? I'll purchase them as a gift for you. Thanks, but no thanks. Thea dragged James away again. However, James felt like he had been greatly humiliated. How dare Zach talk about gifting clothes to his wife in front of him? Tia, how dare you reject my husband? It's an honor to receive gifts from him. Ads by Pub Future. Xena approached, raising her hand to slap Tia. Since we offered, you can't say no. Xena was from a normal family. Even though she had married into an important family, she had no status in the family whatsoever. Her husband often seduced other women in front of her, even bringing them home. She knew where she stood. It was thanks to Zach she was where she was today. Without Zach, she was a complete nobody. Tia failing to appreciate her husband's kindness made her angry. She knew that Zach was interested in Tia, even wanting to help him get Tia into bed. If Zach was happy, he might even reward her. She was going to help Zach. However, James blocked her slap. He twisted her wrist. Ah, it hurts, Xena yelled. James, let her go. Tia tugged on James. James released her. Xena was like a crazed lady, pointing at James and shouting, how dare you? Do you know who I am? As she said that, she looked at Zach with hurt in her eyes. Darling, that piece of trash hit me. Zach knew that Xena had seen right through him and was helping him. Ads by Pub Future. Coldly, he looked at James. James, do you know who I am? I'm a Smith. James was casual about it. Who's York Smith to you? He's my eldest uncle, Zach said smugly. Scared now, are you? James looked at Tia, saying, Tia, I heard Mom say that York sent David home yesterday. York was very respectful to you as well. Why yes, that's right. Thinking about it, Tia was puzzled. What was going on? Why were all these important people so respectful toward her? Was it because of James? However, even though he was once an important person, that was at the Southern Plains. Furthermore, he was no longer in the military. Also, she had heard about what happened at Prosperous Dynasty. She knew that the military had taken action to conquer the underworld. Their first target was Xander Lawrence. James had absolutely nothing to do with that. James said, you must have Yoel's phone number. Call him. Tell him to inform his father he's wanted here for an apology on his knees. Tia did have Yoel's phone number. Her mom had given it to her. Quickly, she explained, Jamie, Mom gave me his number. I've never called him before. I trust you. Call him now. Jamie, forget about it. Tia shook her head. She did not believe that Yoel would tell York what to do even if she called him. York would never apologize either. Xena started laughing. Haha, what a joke. Who do you think you are? Do you really think the heir of the Smiths would apologize with just a phone call? Zach's expression darkened as well. Who do you think you are? The Blight King. How dare you demand my uncle apologize on his knees? James raised his leg and kicked Zach. Smack. Zach flew into the clothes rack. All the clothes fell to the floor. The salesperson was horrified. In a low voice, he said, oh my God. Do you know how much these clothes are worth? Get ready to pay up. Tia was rendered speechless. She had failed to hold James back, resulting in him beating someone up again. Security. The salesperson shouted. A few security guards at the entrance approached menacingly. The ruckus caught the attention of the other shoppers. All of them gathered around with the air of enjoying his show. Tia was slightly worried. Jamie, let's go. She started to drag James away. However, the security guards blocked them. The salesperson said coldly, go. After dirtying the clothes. I don't think so. Zach stood up, roaring, James, you're dead. He made a call immediately. Samson, it's me. Someone has attacked me at a boutique on South Dragon Street. Come with 30 men. We're breaking the other dude's leg. After he hung up, he sent James a vicious look. Stay where you are, punk. You're dead. Seeing how things were escalating, Tia was afraid. She tugged on James' arm. James patted her hand, calming her down. It's okay. Call Yoel now. Get his dad to come over at once. Tia noticed that James was utterly unafraid. She thought about all the odd things that had happened ever since she married him. James always seemed prepared. Ads by Pub Future. After mulling over it for a while, she took her phone out and searched for Yoel's number. Just then, Yoel was at the hospital. York was watching over him. He was just telling Yoel to buy the Callahans a meal after he had recovered. He had to earn their forgiveness and butter them up. Yoel agreed readily. Just then, Yoel's phone rang. Seeing it was Tia, He was frightened so badly his hand jerked, dropping the phone. Useless boy, York thundered, picking up the phone with the screen now broken. He shuddered as well, noticing that it was Thea. He threw the phone to Yoel, who was now terrified of Thea. Quick, answer it. More accurately, he was afraid of Thea's husband, James. He picked up the phone. Thea. See, can I help you with anything? Yoel's teeth started chattering as he recalled the scene of James murdering someone. Why, Yoel? I'm at Gorgeous Boutique on South Dragon Street. Do you know who Zach Smith is? He was shopping with his wife here and we've offended him. Could you tell your dad to give Zach a call and forget about the whole thing? Thea spoke carefully. Instead of telling Yoel to get York to apologize, she begged Yoel to resolve this matter using his connections. Yoel had his phone on the loudspeaker. Ads by Pub Future. As soon as York heard what Thea said, he fumed. Piece of trash. I'm going to teach Zach a lesson. He left the room as soon as he finished talking. At the boutique, Zena saw Thea making a call. She laughed coldly. Yoel, so what if you know him? The Smiths won't side with outsiders. Yoel had hung up as soon as Thea finished speaking. He had been frightened. Hearing that Thea had offended Zach, he shook so violently that he broke his phone on the floor. Zach, you better keep your nose clean. Otherwise, I'll kill you myself once I'm discharged from the hospital, Yoel roared. Zach laughed as well. Haha, are you calling my cousin brother? This is hilarious. Since Yoel did not say anything, Thea got even more anxious. She looked at the security guards blocking her and James. Then, she looked at Zach and the salesperson, both of whom looked fierce. Some spectators had gathered around as well. She was terrified. Jamie, what should we do? It'll be okay. Let's go inside and take a seat. James guided Thea to the boutique's lounge. Once seated, he picked up an apple and started peeling it. He passed the apple to Thea. Darling, here, have some apples. She looked at Zena, Zach, the salesperson, and the security guards. Her heart was beating aggressively in her chest. How could she eat now when she was scared out of her wits? They had damaged so many clothes. How much would it cost them? Furthermore, Zach had requested 30 men. If they all showed up, what would they do? She was so anxious she almost burst into tears. Jamie, think of something. Thea was so anxious she almost burst into tears, but James looked completely unbothered. He had hit Zach and knocked over a few clothes racks. Even the manager had arrived. The manager of the boutique was a woman in her 30s. She was pretty with an oval face and black hair, wearing a sexy professional dress. Mr. Smith, seeing Zach, she bowed respectfully. Zach, who was waiting for Samson at the lounge, glanced at the manager. His eyes lit up when he saw how pretty she was. However, she could not hold a candle to Thea, who was sitting opposite him. He lost interest in the manager at once. Mildly, he said, "Do you know me?" "Yes, I saw you from afar at a banquet once." The manager, Miranda Larson, said respectfully. Zach nodded lightly. Looking at an anxious Thea seated opposite him, he asked Miranda, "How much are the damaged clothes worth?" "Get him to compensate you. Mr. Smith, I've made the calculations. He dirtied 18 clothes in total. All of them are worth more than $10,000 apiece. Altogether, they cost $210,000. You hear that?" Zena said arrogantly. "Be prepared to fork out $210,000. I don't think you'd be able to afford it though. If you kneel and apologize to my husband, we'll pay it off for you." "Jamie, let's pay and leave," Thea said in a small voice. "We shouldn't get into trouble with the Smiths. Zach has even called for backup. If we don't leave now, we won't be able to leave at all." Thea was troubled. All she wanted was to leave. $210,000 was a large sum, but James had assured her that he had the money. It was just like shopping. Some clothes might not fit, but she could alter them. "Darling, it's okay. I'm waiting for his backup to arrive. Have you forgotten that I was in the military?" James smiled. "Jamie, stop fooling around. I heard that the Blythe King issued a strict command after he assumed his new role. Fighting is a felony, and the relevant departments are working overtime to arrest wrongdoers." Thea was terrified by the security guards who were eyeing them. If paying could resolve their problem, why not let money do the job? Ads by Pub Future. "Leave." Zach's expression darkened. Coldly, he said, try it. At that, some of the security guards took a step forward. Leaving never crossed James' mind. A few thugs hardly bothered him. Mr. Smith. Just then, a bald man in his 30s wearing a black tank top with a tiger tattoo approached. 20-odd people followed behind him. With so many people rushing into the boutique at once, the other customers stayed away in fear. Samson, that's him. Break his legs. Zack stood and pointed at James. Gleefully, he looked at Thea. Thea, if you come with me today, I'll let your trash of a husband go. Looking at Thea's figure, he started drooling. At the same time, he hated James. What had he done to deserve such a beautiful wife like her? He was a Smith, for crying out loud. Yet, he had not had such a beautiful woman before. He started to get angry thinking about it. Samson gave his cronies a look. Attack. Ads by Pub Future. Thea got anxious again. Quickly, she stood up. Mr. Smith, we're sorry for offending you. Please forgive us. Haha, it's too late to apologize now. Zena laughed. Unless you keep my husband company for a few days, your husband's dead meat. James pulled Thea down, who had stood up to apologize. He looked at Zack darkly. So, you're after my wife as well? Yes. Zack did not deny it. Any woman he wanted had never managed to escape his clutches. He stared at Thea, not bothering to hide his greedy expression as he took in her lithe figure and beautiful face. He had bedded beautiful women before, but none as beautiful as her. Thea blushed as he stared at her hungrily. Angrily, she said, Thea, this is your chance. Come with me for 3 days and I'll let your husband go. Otherwise, your husband will spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. I'll count to 3. If you disagree, don't blame me for what happens next. 1. Thea's face beaded with sweat. She looked at the menacing bald man and the 20-odd people eyeing them. She knew that if she did not agree to his terms, James' legs would be broken. 2. Thea panicked even more. 3. I agree. Thea was so anxious she almost cried. James did not expect that Thea would. He was touched. Thea cried, I agree to your terms. Don't attack my husband, don't. Zack smirked and stood, reaching out to snake his arm around Thea's slim waist. You should have done this earlier. There were many people at the boutique. However, they were all standing far away. Knowing the Smiths, they discussed what was going on under their breaths. Just then, James stood up and kicked Zack. Zack landed on the couch. Hit him. Attack. Before he even got up, he had issued a command. Just then, a middle-aged man dashed in. It was York, having rushed over from the hospital. When he discovered Thea calling to say that she had offended Zack, he was so angry he drove to the boutique at top speed, disregarding all the red lights. In his mind's eye, he could still see what had happened the previous night. Even Xander was killed, with the Blight King cleaning up the mess personally. Thea was like a god's wife. No one would have the guts to touch her. Anyone who did so would be staring death in the face. He rushed in hurriedly, sweating so much his hair was wet. He entered just in time to hear what Zack said. Furiously, he roared, worthless beast-starred. Ads by Pub Future. His voice was like thunder. Everyone turned to look. You uncle. Zack started shaking. York was the second in command in the family. He was the heir who called the shots. York flew at Zack and pulled his hair, slapping him a few times. Despite using his full strength, he was still worried that he was not hitting Zack hard enough. Zack was beat into a daze. Some of his teeth were knocked out, his mouth filling with blood. After slapping him, York kicked Zack in the stomach, sending him flying into the couch once more, which turned on its side. Then, he picked up the ashtray on the table and hit Zack on the head furiously. Zack's head started bleeding immediately. Everyone was terrified. Xena was stunned. It took her a few moments to respond. Uncle, what are you doing? He's Zack, your nephew. You BTCH. York rushed to her, pulling her long hair and slamming her head into the table. Slam. Xena's head hit the glass table hard, shattering it. Thea was dumbfounded. There were tear tracks on her face. She was prepared to sacrifice herself to save James, but now. Ads by Pub Future. With so much happening at once, Thea had a hard time keeping up. Samson, who was here at Zack's request, did not even make a peep. He knew who this person was. He was the candidate for the Smiths, head of the family and one of the most important people in Kensington. After he beat Zack and Zena up, he knelt in front of Thea. What? Thea staggered backward. Everyone in the boutique was dumbfounded. Especially Samson. After being around for such a long time, how could he not know York? Samson and his 20-odd cronies stared dumbly. On his knees, York was crying. He begged, "Ems, Thea, please forgive us. We have failed at educating our descendants. Please let us go and forget about this." Everyone in the boutique was shocked. The Smiths were an important family. They might not have been part of the Great Four, but they were worth as much as the Great Four. York was the leader of the Smiths, yet he was kneeling to Thea. Heavily injured, Zack was confused. Why was his uncle kneeling to Thea? Zena, her face bloodied, was dumbfounded as well. Was this the all-powerful York she knew? The salesperson was petrified. Miranda stared in shock. York knelt on the ground and bowed to Thea repeatedly, his head hitting the ground each time. In no time, he injured his head. Each time his head knocked against the ground, it produced a clear sound, sending everyone's heart juddering in time with it. Everyone's mouth hung open in shock. Thea stood rooted to the spot. It was a while before she managed to respond. Quickly, she helped York up, saying, "Mr. Smith, what are you doing? Please get up. Ems, Thea, please forgive us. Please have mercy on my useless nephew." James said coldly. He asked Thea to keep him company for 3 days. What? York flew into a rage once more. He was so angry he got up, searching for something. His eyes landed on a wooden chair. He grabbed it and slammed it into Zack's lower body. Ah! Moans of pain echoed through the boutique. Blood pooled at Zack's crotch. It was so painful he fainted. Zena, whose face was bloodied, was so scared she turned pale. She kept retreating, crying all the while. Everyone staggered backward as well as they were all frightened. What just happened was ruthless. Zack was now crippled. After that, York knelt again. "Ems, Thea, does this please you?" Ads by Pub Future. Thea had paled as well. Instinctively, she stepped backward and grabbed James' hand, looking at him. "Jamie, what? James looked innocent. "Why are you looking at me? He's not asking for my forgiveness." "Thea, you must have some important people on your side." "Me?" Thea was shocked. Important people? How would she know anyone important? However, someone came to mind. It was during the auction the Xaviers organized on the top floor of Kensington Hotel. She had been captured by Trent, who cut her face up. Just as she was about to lose all hope, a man in a ghost mask appeared and saved her. Could it be him? Thea looked as though she was in a trance. She then shook her head, dismissing her thoughts. She knew that he had killed Warren, Trent, and the other 3 patriarchs. However, he had been captured by the Blythe King and shot to death. Then again, besides him, she did not seem to know any other important people. Furthermore, it was not like she knew the man in the ghost mask. Over the past 10 years, she had barely left the house. How could she have gotten to know anyone important? Could it have been James? She looked at James suspiciously. Immediately, she dismissed the thought again. Ads by Pub Future. It could not be him. Even though he was a high-ranking official at the Southern Plains, he had been expelled from the military after getting into trouble. Smack, smack. Since Thea remained silent, York continued to hit his head against the floor repeatedly, still on his knees. Thea did not understand. She stopped thinking about it, helping York up immediately. Look, Mr. Smith, he's bleeding profusely. You should take him to the hospital. Thank you for your mercy, Ems. Thea. York was over the moon. He had finally earned her forgiveness. Otherwise, the Smiths were dead. York stood up, glancing at James. He shivered involuntarily, almost falling to the floor again. James said, "What are you doing, Mr. Smith? Didn't you hear Thea? Take Zack to the hospital at once. Also, this fight has nothing to do with Thea. Don't you call the police and arrest Thea. It's all on me. It has nothing to do with Ems. Thea at all." York made a phone call after that. Soon, a few people appeared. They took Zack, who had fainted, and a shocked, bloodied Zena away. "Do I still have to pay for the clothes?" James looked at the boutique manager. The manager jerked to attention, shaking. Quickly, she said, "And no." Even York apologized to them. She did not have the guts to pursue the matter further. The other workers in the shop had notified their boss. It was Yuna, the chairman of Longevity Pharmaceuticals. However, she was just helping out at Longevity Pharmaceuticals since it was her family business. Besides that, she had other business ventures as well. This boutique was just one of them. After hearing that Thea and James had caused trouble in her shop, she rushed from her office. James looked at Samson and the rest, frowning. Your boss is gone. Do you still want to beat me up? Samson shuddered and bowed in fear, apologizing. Sorry. We're leaving now. After that, he took his men and fled. Phew. Thea took a deep breath. It was so surreal. All this was simply unbelievable. Just then, Afira stopped at the entrance. A tall, beautiful, and elegant woman in a white shirt and a black pencil skirt approached. Click-clack, click-clack. Her heels clicked against the ground, creating crisp sounds. Ems. Lawson. All the salespeople in the shop were respectful as the woman approached. Even the manager, Mirinda, said respectfully, Ems. Lawson. Yuna took in the scene and glanced at James. Finally, her gaze landed on Thea. Pretending to be familiar with Thea, she took her hand, smiling. It really is you, Thea. Thea was stunned. She did not recognize who this beautiful woman was. Thea, it's me. I'm Yuna, Yuna Lawson. When we were in university, you gave a speech during Mr. Quigley's lecture to great applause. I was there too. Thea thought about it. She seemed to recall a similar incident. However, she did not know who Yuna was. Ads by Pub Future. Did you send me an invitation? The chairman of Longevity Pharmaceuticals, Yuna Lawson. Yes. Yuna took Thea's hand. I've heard all about what happened. I'll get rid of the salesperson who insulted you earlier. You're here to shop, aren't you? Come on, let's go to the second floor. I'll help you pick out a few pieces. Thea was shocked. What was going on? Why was the chairman of Longevity Pharmaceuticals being so nice to her? It was as if they were best friends. She glanced at James. James smiled. Go on. After getting permission, Thea nodded. With Yuna in the lead, they went to the second floor. The second floor was full of luxury items. The prices here were much higher than those on the first floor. They were all dresses worth more than $100,000 each. All of them were striking and captivating. As Thea had studied fashion design, her eyes lit up at the sight of these beautiful dresses. However, she did not lose her senses. Looking at the beautiful, elegant Yuna next to her, she could not refrain from asking, Ms. Lawson, we don't know each other. Why did you send me an invitation? Why are you being so nice to me? Tell me, who put you up to this? Yuna smiled. It seemed like Thea did not know James' true identity. If Thea did not know, Yuna was not going to expose him. Why all the questions? I've always admired you. You are a genius, having dabbled in so many things. Thea asked again, is it James? What about the man in the ghost mask? Of all the people she knew, only two of them had the power to do so. However, she was not sure who it was. Ads by Pub Future. She had always suspected James. However, it was just a suspicion. The man in the mask. Yuna paused to think for a while before recalling the man in the ghost mask that had caused trouble previously. Furthermore, she had heard that the man in the ghost mask saved Thea and killed Trent at the Xavier's auction. She thought about the time the Blythe King covered for James at Eller Corporation. She guessed at a few things then. The man in the ghost mask was the Black Dragon, hence James. Otherwise, after so much trouble, why did the Blythe King wait till he had assumed his new role before executing a man in a mask? The Blythe King must have been cleaning up James' messes. To reduce the rumors, he had found a scapegoat. Yuna smiled, thinking about it. What was the Black Dragon trying to do? Thea, don't you know who the man in the ghost mask is? How would I know? Yuna whispered, he's the one you saved from the fire at the Cadence 10 years ago. Now, he's a powerful man. You know about the Great Four, don't you? He's back for revenge. What? Thea was shocked. The person she saved 10 years ago. She knew that she had saved someone at the Cadence Villa. As for who she saved, she did not know. Whatever happened between the Cadence and the Great Four was a mystery to her. Who is he? Is it James? Thea thought about the fact that James' surname was Caden as well, and she connected the dots. Yuna smacked Tia on the head. You are overthinking it. Your husband James is a nobody. How could he be so powerful? Tia was not happy about Yuna insulting James. My husband isn't a nobody. Isn't he? Yuna smiled. I've heard all about him. Your family picked him for you. He doesn't have a job. All he does is sweep and cook at home, relying on the Callahans to feed him. He used to pick you up from work at Eternality with his electric motorcycle. It's a popular joke in Kensington now. Keep talking and I'll leave. Tia looked unhappy. Alright, I was just joking, Yuna apologized at once. It looked like Tia was very much in love with James. It would be hard to create a wedge between them. She changed the topic. Which clothes do you like? Just pick them out and I'll give them to you. With your amazing figure and beautiful looks, anything would look good on you. Tia's unhappy look dissipated. However, she could afford the clothes. She did not want Yuna's charity. With Yuna's help, she selected a form-fitting white dress. She liked the color white. It represented purity. When she paid for it, she discovered that it was $180,000. She was shocked, not expecting the dress to be so expensive. Tia, I've told you. It's a gift. The boutique is mine. No, I can't let you do that. Tia waved a hand and removed the black card from her purse. She grew slightly worried. What if the card had no credit? She would be an embarrassment again. The cashier looked at Yuna. Yuna glanced at the black card Tia was clutching. She was shocked. She wanted it so much that she was jealous. No one else knew what the card was. However, she did. It was the Black Dragon card, the only one in the entire country. Go for it. Since Tia had produced the Black Dragon card, Yuna stopped insisting. Tia handed over the card worriedly. The cashier accepted it with both hands and ran it through the card machine. Tia keyed in the PIN number James had shared with her. The Black Dragon card did not actually have a PIN number. As it belonged to James and was one of its kind, it did not require a PIN number. Any PIN number would be correct. Your payment is successful. Tia breathed a sigh of relief hearing that. The card was genuine. Ms. Callahan, here's your card. Please take it. Tia took the Black Dragon card and put it in her pocket. Yuna looked at Tia with a big smile on her face. Tia, where do you want to go next? I'll come with you. Huh? Tia was shocked. Yuna was the chairman of Longevity Pharmaceuticals. How could she request for Yuna to shop with her? I have some time anyway. James said I should get some jewelry. Alright, I'll come with you. Okay. Tia was still in shock. James was at the lounge downstairs. He was smoking and playing Plants vs. Zombies on his phone. Jamie. Tia called him. He put his phone away immediately and stood up, asking, how did it go? Tia lifted the bag in her hand. I bought something, but... She swallowed. It's slightly expensive. It costs $180,000. She had never worn anything so expensive in her life before. She was afraid that James would be angry at her for wasting money. James smiled. It's just $180,000. It's not like we're poor. Is there anything else you want to buy? You should shop some more. Yuna approached with a smile on her face. James, why don't you go home? I'll shop with Tia. James frowned. Yuna smiled. Don't worry. I'll make sure Tia gets home safely. James looked at Tia. Tia did not know why Yuna was being so friendly either. Was it because of the man in the ghost mask? She wanted to learn more about the person she saved 10 years ago to figure out who had saved her from Trent. She thought about it and said, Jamie, why don't you go home? I'll go shopping with Ms. Lawson. Since Tia agreed, James relented, nodding. Okay, be careful. Give me a call if there's anything. Yuna grabbed Tia and started walking away. As they left, Yuna smiled at James, lifting a slim hand and waving at him. James did not think much about it. With Yuna around, Tia would be okay. He left the boutique as well. After Tia entered Yuna's race car, he left on his electric motorcycle. However, he did not go home. He went to Common Clinic instead. When he arrived, the door was closed. He took his key out and entered, closing the door behind him. He took a nap in the back room. It was only during the evening that Henry and Black Rose, Scarlet, returned. James heard noises and woke up, emerging from the back room. Ads by Pub Future. Ah, James, you're here too. Scarlett was slightly surprised to see James. Yeah. James gave a monosyllabic answer and asked, "How are things going?" Henry smiled. "It only took us an afternoon to get things done. Now the city's trade center is under your name. You can start looking for investors." "Got it." James sat down and lit a cigarette that was on the table. "Oh yeah, did any of the Great Four drop by Cadence Cemetery?" Henry shook his head. "I had men watch the place. None of them showed up." James' expression darkened. "James." Henry was unsure if he should speak. After hesitating for a while, Henry said, "According to the latest intel, there were other people present at the cadence besides the Great Four." Slam. James slammed a hand onto the table. The wooden table broke apart into pieces. Scarlett shuddered. "Ads by Pub Future. Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Henry looked apologetic. "I'm sorry, James. I was careless. I was so focused on the Great Four I overlooked some details." Darkly, James asked, "Who else was there?" Immediately, Henry said, "We know the Great Four were there for sure, but the rest are in the dark. They never revealed themselves. Let's just say that 10 years ago, it wasn't just the Great Four who conspired against the Cadence. The underworld of Kensington was involved as well, and there's a mastermind behind it all." James knew there was a mastermind all along. Whoever had moonlit flowers on Cliffside's edge was the mastermind. "Who else was there?" Henry said. "James, all our power and resources are at the Southern Plains. Now that the Blight King is the commander-in-chief, I don't have the authority to access Kensington's intelligence network. I'm unable to find out who was involved." The Blight King. James thought about it before waving a hand and saying, "Keep this out of the Blight King's hands." "If so, there's only one person who can help us." James asked, "Who?" Henry said, "Jake Graham, known as the Boss. He trades in information. Apparently, he knows everything there is. His sources stretch far and wide, not limited to Kensington. Furthermore, his underground intelligence network can access information even some officials can't access. Get in touch with Jake. I want to know who else was involved in eradicating the Cadence 10 years ago besides the Great Four." "I'm on it." James leaned back on a chair, inhaling deeply. He did not expect that whatever happened 10 years ago would be so complicated. However, it did not matter who they were. As long as they were involved, they only had one end. It was death. Upon finding out that, in addition to the Great Four, underworld forces were also involved in the destruction of the Cadence, James' face darkened. Henry immediately got to making arrangements. It was a simple matter as he was an individual of high status. Not long after, arrangements had been made. "James, I've arranged for us to meet Jake Graham at the People's Repair Shop in the suburbs tonight." "Got it." James nodded. "James, we know that Jake Graham is involved in intelligence trading, and his prices are exorbitant. Should we bring some cash with us?" James glanced at Henry and asked, "Henry, how long have you been working under me?" Henry replied, "About 8 years. "Indeed, it has been 8 years. You should know me. Would I need money to deal with the honcho of a turf?" "You're right." James looked at the time. It was only 7 o'clock. Getting to the suburbs required an hour by car. Tonight would be a long night. He took his phone out and called Thea. "Ads by Pub Future. Thea, are you back? I'm busy with something, so I might be late tonight. I might not even go back." How he spoke on the phone was completely different from how he had spoken earlier. Scarlett could not believe her eyes. To think that the legendary Ares of the Southern Plains would have such a soft side to him, not to mention the smile he was wearing on his face. She pulled at Henry and signaled for them to go outside. Henry nodded and walked to the door. Outside, Scarlett asked, "Henry, who's James on the phone with? He seems like a completely different person." Henry sighed. "She's perhaps the luckiest woman on earth. James beloved. It's better not to probe into his business. I'm asking you to avoid offending him in the future." Upon ending his call with Thea, James walked out and saw the both of them whispering. "Ahem, what are you guys talking about?" His cough sent shivers down Scarlett's spine. She panicked and immediately lowered her head. Henry smiled and said, "Nothing much." Black Rose was merely curious about Thea. James glanced at Scarlett. "Ads by Pub Future." Curtly, he replied, "There's no Black Rose among us. There's only Scarlett Brooks." "Yes, James, my mistake." James patted Henry's shoulder and said with a smile, "Henry, you're not young anymore. It's time you consider getting married. Do you have any preferences? I can introduce some women to you. Do you want a mature-looking one or a youthful one? Sexy or pure and innocent?" Ahem. Henry blushed. We'll talk about that in the future, James. James put on a long face. You must be over 30. We should get this done now that we're still in Kensington. Although I've handed in my resignation letter, the higher-ups have yet to process it. Who knows? I might be transferred back to the southern plains if any upheavals arise. We have to make such decisions now. Yes, it is as you say. If I meet someone I like, I'll chase after her. In your dreams. James slapped him across the head. A blockhead like you makes a good fighter. But chasing after women, no way. I'll find you one once I return. Scarlett, who was standing at the side, felt uncomfortable listening to their conversation. She proceeded to enter the building. At the door of Common Clinic, James and Henry were seated by a flight of stairs. The two were smoking cigarettes while talking about women. Amid their discussion, Henry felt awkward and hurriedly changed topics. James, what happened with the Cadence 10 years ago isn't that simple. Not just the Great Four, but even the underworld forces were involved. Did they have to go to such lengths just to deal with the Cadence? James looked at Henry and said, "What do you think?" Henry contemplated for a bit before answering, "I've done my research on what happened 10 years ago. Trent Xavier was actually from the capital instead of the Western Army. He only went to the western border after the destruction of the Cadence. There's no way the Great Four could be the mastermind behind the incident. However, the true mastermind must be extremely influential. After all, they were capable of manipulating the Great Four and the underworld forces of Kensington." James asked, eyes squinted, "How influential do you think he is?" Henry laughed. "No matter how influential he was back then, there's no way he would eclipse your current self. All right now, stop kissing my *SS. Get the car. Let's meet Jake Graham and find out how much he knows about the Cadence incident from 10 years ago." All right. Henry speedily made his way to the nearby parking lot. Soon, he came back driving a black Lunar. Henry picked James and Scarlett up and drove to the People's Repair Shop in the suburbs. They had ample time, so he drove slowly. It was almost 9 o'clock when they arrived at the People's Repair Shop. Outside a huge repair shop, a black Lunar was parked here. Henry, who was in the driver's seat, pointed at the repair shop. "James, this is the headquarters of Jake Graham. Though it may look like a repair shop from the outside, it's armed to the teeth on the inside." James was indifferent. "Let's get out of the car." The trio got out of the car and entered the repair shop. Before they could enter, a man dressed in ragged clothes and covered in oil walked out. "Sorry, it's already late. Please come again tomorrow," Henry replied. "We're here to see Jake. We've made an appointment. Ads by Pub Future." Upon hearing this, the repairman glanced at the trio. Almost immediately, he nodded. "Follow me." He brought them to the backyard of the repair shop and entered a room. There was a secret door in the room. As he opened the secret door, a secret passage revealed itself. A few men armed with submachine guns stood by the entrance of the secret passage. The repairman waved at them. "They're here to see the boss. They've made an appointment. Search them." 2 men walked over and prepared to search them. "What's this?" Henry stepped forward to shield James. Coldly, he asked, "Do you not know who this is?" The repairman replied coolly, "Rules are rules. If you don't want us to search you, then scram." James pulled at Henry and gestured. "When in Rome, do as the Romans do." Henry nodded. The men by the entrance searched them. They found a gun on Henry. Ads by Pub Future. On the other hand, Scarlett handed her firearm over voluntarily. Though James had no weapons, they confiscated a silver needle that they found on him. "Get going." After the search, the repairman spoke once more. They followed closely behind him and entered the passage. The passage was long and seemed to extend deep underground. Along the way, they passed by fully armed mercenaries. Henry whispered, "Jake's influence extends far beyond Kensington into every big city. He's called the boss by those in the Triad world and as the king of the underworld. Xander Lawrence, who you had killed, is nothing in Jake's eyes." James gently nodded. He did not care for a mere honcho of a turf. If he felt like it, this place would be wiped off the map the moment he called the Blight King. Soon, they arrived at the deepest part of the passage. James discovered that it was an underground casino teeming with people. He could not care less. The repairman led them to a shut door and said, "The boss is attending to his guests." "Wait here." James gently nodded. "All right." They were already here, and a little waiting would not hurt. If he does not get anything out of this meeting, then there would be no reason for this place to exist anymore. The underground chamber was not big, it was only around 50 square meters. To its sides were stone walls, and to its front and back were only iron doors. The one from which they had just entered was already locked. The iron door to the front was closed, and a black curtain prevented them from seeing what was going on behind the door. Upon seeing the locked door, Scarlett frowned slightly and looked at James. "James, this is..." James waved her off lightly. "It's all right. We'll wait." He had been through great ordeals. Why would he be worried about a mere local turf honcho? Though James was calm, Scarlett was anxious. Although she has interacted with the Triad world, she was still a grave robber and had no experience dealing with these people. "James, Henry, everything will be fine, right?" Her face was beaded with sweat. Along the way here, she had noticed how heavily fortified this place was. She counted at least 100 mercenaries armed to the teeth. Henry tried comforting her. "It's all right. If anything happens, I can force our way out of here without James' help." Upon hearing this, Scarlett was reassured. They waited in the chamber for approximately 10 minutes. Ads by Pub Future. 10 minutes later, a hoarse voice came from behind the curtain, "You must be Henry." Recommended by Brooks. Upon hearing the voice, Henry immediately replied, "That's right. Brooks recommended me to you. Speak. What intelligence do you wish to purchase?" Henry glanced at James. James snorted. "Is this how you conduct business? At least prepare some chairs and invite us to sit. Besides, shouldn't you show your face?" Having been brought into the chamber with not even a single stool in sight, James was already feeling irritated. Yet now, Jake Graham was refusing to even reveal himself. Instead, he was conversing with James from behind the black curtain. The hoarse voice came from behind the black curtain. "At my place, everyone stands, no matter who they are. As for showing my face, I find it unnecessary. Speak. What information do you need?" James spoke. "I'd like to know which underworld forces were involved in the destruction of the Cadence in addition to the Great Four. I need a list of everyone who participated. Also, I'd like to know the mastermind behind the incident." Silence engulfed the chamber. After a while, a voice spoke. "That is top secret information that has been buried for many years. No one has come to buy it. If you wish to purchase it, it will cost a fixed price of 10 billion. James replied, "Sure, but I will have the information first." From behind the curtain, the voice scoffed, "At my place, no one gets information before they pay. Pay up, and then you'll get your information. I, Jake Grames, am a man of my word. I would never sell information I don't have." Upon hearing this, James' face darkened. Behind him, Scarlett felt an icy chill. Only Henry knew that James was enraged. Ads by Pub Future. There would be bloodshed tonight. James made his way to the front. "Don't act rashly." A rebuking voice came. Following that, dozens of fully armed mercenaries emerged from the back, their weapons in hand. Countless red dots were aimed at the trio. James frowned. His silver needle had been confiscated. It would be impossible for him to instantly subdue the fully armed mercenaries. He turned and looked Henry in the eye. "Is there money in the card?" Henry nodded. "There is, though there's not much left. But we should still have 10 billion. James nodded. "All right then. It's a deal." Almost immediately, he looked at the black curtain in front of him and said, "All right, it's a deal. But if I find anything amiss with your information, don't blame me for what'll happen next." "Haha, don't worry. I'm a man of my word. I would never lie to my customers." James asked, "How should we proceed with the deal?" "By direct transfer." James nodded. "Got it." At that moment, the dozens of fully armed mercenaries stepped forward and pressed their weapons against the trio's heads. Following that, the black curtain was lifted. A man, clothed in black and wearing a hood, walked toward them and unlocked the iron door. James' gaze followed, and he discovered that a luxurious house stood behind the iron door.